Happy birthday to you. Make a wish.
Why didn't you do anything?
He's thinking.
I wished I wasn't gay. I grew up in a world where being gay was incredibly taboo. I never heard about it, and on the off chance I did hear about it, it was in a negative light. It was like those people had a disease and I didn't know why they were sick.
Do you still wish you weren't gay?
I think I'm finally to the point where I don't wish that. I feel like that's why I'm ready to finally tell my story. I'm ready for people to see all of me.
What if people say you're doing this for attention?
If I wanted attention or was trying to follow a certain trend, I would have never taken this path. I had to curb my very genuine and raw feelings. I have never been in a relationship or even had my first kiss. I know people will form negative perceptions about me, even the people I love the most. I have been told over the pulpit that I am inherently wired wrong. I do not have a clear path to salvation. I have never loved anyone, but it's finally time I love myself. Accepting the label documents how I overcame the shame of being gay while being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church. It is a story of growing up, getting knocked down, and receiving God's love. This series will take you through my 20 years of living and all the stories I was too afraid to tell. I don't speak for my whole community. Everyone's journey is unique, but there is hope and there is a path to accepting the label. Here's mine. I grew up outside of a small town in Indiana, surrounded by cornfields, barns, and groves of trees. My life was too easy. I needed something to slow me down. And being sandwiched between a conservative town, a conservative home, and a conservative church, I would find life wasn't easy. From a young age, I saw people around me suffering. They had divorced parents and little money, but I didn't face those things. But I did have a side of me that was too different, too hard to describe, but somehow always there. That side of me, only my reflection saw.
So, I'm trying this new beauty trend that's called Acne Light Therapy Mask.
Would make me tough. It would make my life hard. I knew life wasn't supposed to be easy. At church, I learned life has many trials and God uses them to test you. Being gay was my trial, and if I could overcome that, God would be so proud of me. All I wanted was people to be proud of me, and that stopped me from expressing my divinity. I used to love my unique spirit. It gave me confidence, creativity, and spunk.
And one. And
Welcome to the show. We have a few guest stars up today. Right. Hello, kids here, and I'm going to sing fireworks for y'all. 6 feet on the ground, and no one seems to notice you.
I love showing my soft side. I love living in my own world because I had my own vantage point. It was like I was on top of my own mountain and had my own view, while everyone else was on another mountain trying to share the view.
You work! Come and show me what you're worth.
This is just a concealer on your eyelids. Help the powder like stick.
Oh, do you need my beauty blender?
I want to see what you think. I can change it if you don't like it.
Okay.
And I'm going to clean it up down the bottom a little bit.
Ooh, it looks so good. Oh, that's a good angle. Are you supposed to open your mouth when you use mascara? My appreciation for my unique spirit slowly started to change once I went to school. One day I came home from kindergarten feeling extra confident. On the bus ride, 2 girls, my best friends, gave me a makeover. I agreed to the makeover and I was so excited about it. They finished my makeover by adding green lip gloss to my lips. I got home and the next thing I remember was intense shame. Take that off. Never do that again. That's not what boys do.
Okay.
Bree's doing my makeup.
Yeah, I'm doing his makeup. So we're doing it. He's going to take it off though.
I'm not angry about that experience. I don't want to dwell on it. Perhaps they're trying to protect me from a community and a church who would not comprehend a little boy with green glitter painted on his lips.
Mascara does not get the frick off.
That was the first time my unique spirit didn't feel like a blessing anymore. It was a curse that would haunt me my whole life. My feminine side was always there, and I could never control it. I was obsessed with Scotland and wanted to visit it so bad once I heard the men wore skirts. I loved playing Barbies with my little sister and playing the Pretty Pretty Princess board game.
Scared with my BFF Noah Show. I love you, Noah. You're cutie.
The blonde-haired Barbies and the red ruby necklaces came with feelings of shame. I felt like I had to hide everything that didn't fit for the young, typical Mormon boy. I learned at a young age to keep everything inside and to hide the parts of yourself that made you the most happy. Here's my journal. I started writing it when I was 8. When I was 9, I wrote my top secrets. I wrote, sometimes I play with Barbies as number 3 of my top secret. Then on the next page, in the mess of these words, I don't even know what it's saying, I wrote my goals, and one of my goals was to be more boyish, talk like a boy. Although I tried to pretend I was the normal boy at home, I stuck out at school. All my friends were girls. I sat at the girls' table at lunch. I swung on the swing set with the girls. Girls go to college to get more knowledge. Boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Somehow this rhyme made it to my one-story red brick elementary school, and the girls were able to change it to be more inclusive. Girls and Noah go to college to get more knowledge, while boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Although I love the attention and the affirmation that this more inclusive chant brought, it kind of was a symbol of my struggle. I could never be a part of the girls nor the boys. I was just alone as Noah. Although I liked being alone at first, when it came to making relationships and having companionship, I was on my own. I felt stuck between two worlds. I was a boy who had this soft side that was drawn to the girls. Still, I could never really fit in with the girls. I didn't go to their sleepovers, and there were some things they said that I would never understand because I wasn't a girl. Likewise, I felt like I could never fit in with the boys. They were too crude for me. Their social dynamics gave me anxiety. I never knew my place in the group. I remember I was racing at the playground with 2 other boys, and I wanted to impress them. I was trying so hard to win, and if I won, I could be one of the boys. Next thing I knew, I was pushed to the ground, bleeding. I guess one of those boys couldn't stand me beating them. They had to shove me. They had to slow me down. No one wanted to feel that I was stronger or faster than them, because I was half the man they were. These attitudes followed me everywhere. They followed me into middle school, where bullies grabbed my art pouch and ran to the other side of the school with it, all because the pouch had a pink symbol on its design. They followed me to scout camp. Jokes were made when I cried after the boys had killed a fish. Rumors followed me when I wore swim trunks in the shower. Those experiences hurt me, but the word gay is what broke me. It was Christmas time. We were singing Deck the Halls, and I noticed a word in the song that some of the boys at school were calling me. I shrugged it off. We kept singing, but I could only think about that word. I remember my friends were asked by people if I was that word. The song ended, and I could still hear that word echoing in my head. I knew I couldn't escape it. I would never escape it. Mom, what does gay mean? I really don't remember what came next. But I'm sure it came with, oh, you're not that. However, I can vividly see myself running out of the room, crying. It was less tears, it was more like I was choking on my own breath. I was only 10 years old and I already had a label. A label that my family shunned, and a label that my church only used to call others to repentance. It was a label that came with no instructions, but constant waves of shame and guilt. I questioned if it was even scientifically possible for me to like a guy. How do you even like boys? God made me to marry a girl. I can only like girls. Following that day, I was so afraid of being called gay. I didn't want to hear that word from anyone. I didn't even want people to think that about me. If I was gay, I was a bad person. A person who would have no friends, no faith, and no future. However, that word followed me. In middle school, I sat at the girls' table again. This time, I was asked if I was gay by a teacher. I was so embarrassed that an adult thought I was gay. I was used to bullies using that word against me, but now someone I wanted to impress, someone I looked up to, thought I was gay. I must be the problem, I thought. Why am I different? The next day, I was at the boys' table for lunch, and I had plans to get a girlfriend. Well, a fake girlfriend. I remember talking with my best friends, who were obviously girls. We devised a plan for me to go out with a girl. Everyone knew why we were doing this. To stop the rumors. There was no way I was gay. It felt like the perfect plan. I dated one of my friends for like a week or two. It probably did the exact opposite of what I wanted. Was I really dating Nancy, or was it all a show? I felt I was required to put on an act for people to accept me. No matter what I would do, people would think I was gay. If people thought I was gay, then I would face taunts from bullies, disappointment from my family, and judgment from my congregation. I didn't want that, so it was easier to change how I acted, dressed, and talked. But if I was going to change those things, then I couldn't fangirl over Lady Gaga. I couldn't sit at the girls' table for lunch. Most importantly, I couldn't show any sympathy towards anyone who was gay. If I could follow those rules, I could escape the label. I would never have to hear the word gay